May is Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month, and Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome is a condition that I live with that runs in my family. It is a genetic disorder. It is characterized by basically the breakdown of the connective tissue in a body. So basically the glue that holds your body together is falling apart. I have been diagnosed since 2020, and in the 3 short years that I've been living with this condition, I have gone from being able to walk 20 miles a day to not being able to walk a mile to just being in constant chronic pain, constant subluxations, having to wear braces to get around, and finally now I'm on crutches because the collagen in my body has been breaking down. It has been a major life adjustment getting used to this really rapid decline in my physical health and adjusting to the reality of having a physical disability. It's taught me a lot in these 3 years that I have really valued what I've learned, and it's actually helped me a lot in managing my health. So from a relatively newly disabled zebra, here are some of the things that Ehlers-Danlos has taught me. Listen to your body. This is huge because I'm a former backpacker, and that is something that I've had to give up. And it was very, very hard to accept that I'll probably never backpack again. And I'm used to pushing my body to the limits, to beyond the limits, and recovering quickly and being okay with that. And now I'm learning that if I push myself too far, it could take days or over a week to recover from, and I'll be in a lot more pain. There will be consequences, whereas before I could bounce back. So knowing my limitations and knowing when I need to stop and take a break and rest is huge. And it hasn't been easy. I'm very stubborn. I want to keep pushing and going to the limits that I was able to achieve before, but I'm having to accept that I have new limitations and I need to respect my body. I need to listen to it. I need to know when to stop and rest. Also, I need to listen to it in the sense that I need to be aware when new symptoms come up, or like if I have a sprain, I don't always notice because I'm already in a lot of pain. I might think that I'm just having a high pain day and not brace it when I need to. Things like that. Like I need to listen to my body to know the cues for when I'm not okay. Don't buy into the imposter syndrome. Don't believe it. I struggle with that a lot, especially because it has only been a few years that I've been dealing with this. It has not been a long time. And I often think to myself, I'm not sick enough to be this sick. And I compare myself to others. I'm guilty of that. I compare myself to my sister a lot because she's lived with this longer and she has it a lot worse. And I think to myself, I can't claim to have this when there are people in my family who are really disabled. And I often doubt myself and look past the actual things I'm dealing with because I just don't think it's bad enough to count myself in the disability community. I have to really learn to let go of that and accept that I actually am dealing with a serious condition, and it's okay to have that and not feel like an imposter. I don't have to feel like I'm not worse off enough to deserve care and deserve treatment and deserve the help that I need. Ice and Tylenol are your best friends. And before developing chronic pain, I was not ever using ibuprofen or Tylenol. If I had a headache or anything, I would just muscle through and I wouldn't even consider it an option because I think, yeah, that's not enough pain. It's not bad enough that I need that. And even when I was starting to have chronic pain, and even recently, I'll think, no, it's not bad enough pain. It's not that bad. And it can be really bad. And I'll keep telling myself no, it's not that bad. And I think that goes along with the imposter syndrome, where I almost punish myself into not taking care of my joints when they hurt because I think it could be worse. Other people have it worse. It's not that bad. My chronic pain is minimal. I don't treat myself fairly. And the other day I iced my ankle and I was like, oh my God, that is so nice. Why have I never done that? That is such a relief. So I'm learning that it's okay to have these resources and use them, and that it is bad enough that it counts. I count. When in doubt, brace it. Like I said earlier, I can't always tell when I necessarily need to brace something. I might have a sprained wrist and I'll just think oh, my wrist hurts a lot today. oh, that's not out of the usual. My wrist hurts every day. And a couple days later, it'll just be like so much worse. And I'll be like, I think I sprained it like 2 or 3 days ago. Should have done something about that. So a lot of times it'll be like too late and I'll have been in a lot of pain for a while and just again think like, oh, it's not bad enough. And when I finally do brace it and give it some rest, I do get relief. So especially when walking, when in doubt, brace it. I use my braces prophylactically when I go walking to keep myself from getting to that point. So I'll brace my hip and knees because they're pretty much the worst. And when I walk, I can walk a lot farther without being in pain just because I'm kind of preventing it by using my braces. Don't be self-conscious with crutches. I've been using my crutches for about a year. I've kind of downsized to just using one crutch at a time because I mostly use it for stability. I tend to fall a lot just because, I guess, like if I'm standing for a while and then I start to take a step, I'll buckle and kind of fall. I don't know what that's about. I think it's just because my joints are like locked or something, like they're just not working right. So a lot of times I use my crutch to keep myself upright, keep myself steady, and also because it helps with the pain a lot. Like it relieves the pressure on my joints and that helps a lot. So like with the braces, I can go a lot farther because I'm in less pain. And also standing really sucks. Like standing can be worse than walking. So if I can lean on my crutch, it helps a lot. It helps immensely. When I started using my crutches, I was really self-conscious and I felt like, oh my God, what if I'm not doing this right? What if people can tell that I'm really bad at using crutches? What if they think I'm a faker? I know a lot of people who are young using mobility aids get called a faker, and that's unfair because you can be disabled at any age. You can become disabled in an instant. Like it can just happen. You could fall and snap your neck. Like you don't have to be old and gray to be using mobility aids. Anyone can use them. And when I kind of realized that, like, hey dude, this is the fact of life. Like everybody becomes disabled if they live long enough, and you just it happens sooner to you. So it's okay. Like don't feel bad about it. Don't feel self-conscious because no one really cares if people are looking. They don't matter. You know, what matters is my health, and the importance of my health far outweighs how awkward I might feel in public. And that kind of goes with get used to the attention. There will be a lot of it. I'm pretty sure anyone who uses mobility aids in the long term can relate to just being stopped and asked questions all the time. Anywhere I go, anyone I talk to, they always want to know. Sometimes it'll be people like strangers who will just like ask it unprompted. Other times I'll be like talking to someone in a conversation and they'll sort of like work it into the conversation, but everybody wants to know. And they'll want to know what happened to your knee, what happened to your foot, what happened to your leg. And I find that interesting because they're kind of like specifying a body part and there's no indication which body part is affected. So I just find that interesting that they always assume which like joint it could be. I don't know why that is. I usually just answer by saying, have you heard of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? And of all the times I have asked that question, like day after day for over a year, only one person actually knew what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was, which says a lot to me. It is far underdiagnosed and I kind of see why. After I say like, do you know what it is? And they don't know, I'll just say, oh, it's a connective tissue disorder. Connective tissue is like the glue that holds your body together and mine is falling apart. And this causes me to have dislocations. And that kind of makes sense to people, but they don't really understand that like it is actually painful. Like it's so interesting to me that when I tell people I have dislocations all the time, they'll be like, oh, okay. Like, have you ever dislocated anything? Do you think that just because it happens to me more than you, it doesn't hurt? Because it does hurt every time. Also, if someone is like kind of really irritating me, I'll just shut it down by saying, oh, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I won't explain any further. I don't owe anyone an explanation. And one time I was in a meeting and I got up on my crutch to go use the bathroom, and a woman like got up in the meeting to also go to the bathroom at the exact same time. And I was in my stall. She walked into the next stall, sat down, and immediately asked me like, why do you have a crutch? Dude, that is so uncomfortable. You got up at the same time as me to go to the bathroom and sit in a stall to ask me why I have a crutch. Kind of inappropriate, kind of rude. So I just brushed it off by saying, oh, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I didn't explain any further because that's just kind of wrong. I don't know. What do you think? Like, is that totally inappropriate? Is that an inappropriate way to ask someone why they're using a crutch? Because like, maybe I'm the asshole, but I just don't think that if you want to ask someone something personal like that, you should follow them to the bathroom. Like, that's so weird. The last lesson that I've learned from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is so vitally important, and that is to ask for help. I am not the kind of person to ask for help. I'm just not. I had it drilled into my head in a toxic relationship that it's weak to ask for help and you should be self-reliant. And if you don't know how to do something, you must teach yourself because it's wrong to ask for help. And with that belief following me for years, I have stumbled along the way in so many areas because I felt like it was like guilty and wrong and weak to ask for help. So asking for help, it's kind of hard for me. And now that I'm like opening up to doing that, it's becoming easier, but you know, it's not my favorite thing to do. Sometimes I take the bus and I'll walk with my crutch from the bus to my destination, and someone will drive past me and say, do you want to ride? Like if it's someone I know. And a lot of times I used to be like, oh no, I like walking. And the other day I was in so much pain and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I really, really need a ride. So I have to be okay with that. Like offering rides, I'm starting to accept that more. That's a big one for me. Also saying like, hey, can I have a chair? Like admitting that I need help. Yeah, it's a vulnerable thing to do, but I mean, it has saved me so much anguish, and it makes my life a lot easier when I can have those accommodations. So those are just some of the lessons I've learned as a newbie zebra. I think a lot of these actually have to do with me as a person and letting go of like ableist views that I've had of myself, that I've imposed on myself, like letting go of the internalized ableism, admitting to needing help, letting go of the imposter syndrome, using resources and accommodations when I need them. I have been so resistant to it, and I've only just recently been like adopting these lessons and using them. But wow, my life has improved a lot. My health has improved a lot just by following these lessons that I've learned and being aware of my condition, listening to my body, things like that. I am so grateful for my crutches. Someday I might be in a wheelchair, I don't know. But if it gets to that point, I'll probably feel a lot more comfortable being out in public because of what I've already learned. So that's it for today. I might make more Ehlers-Danlos content during May because, as I said, it is Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month. If you have anything interesting in mind that you'd like to hear from me, let me know. I'm always open to feedback and I love hearing what you have to say.